Seagal month on Bad Movie Beatdown. You may recall last year I did 5 terrible Stallone movies in July before the release of The Expendables, and now I'm doing 5 more terrible movies from another action star with a surname beginning with S. Oh yes, we're getting up close and personal with the ponytailed one himself, and it's going to get just as ugly as Seagal. Viewers may recall that one of the earliest films I reviewed was the environmentally friendly action film On Deadly Ground, where Seagal blew up an oil rig and murdered innocent oil workers in the name of furry animals. At the end of that review, I promised I would return to Seagal in the future. Well, it took me 2 years before I actually followed up on that, so to make up for it, I'm reviewing 5, starting with Out of Reach. 2004's Out of Reach is one of Seagal's earliest direct-to-video outings. Seagal had a very brief career resurrection at the start of the decade with exit wounds, but an attempt to follow that up with Half Past Dead left his career in that state. So, with his waistline ballooning, Seagal started making more and more cheap and awful action films. These are mostly shot in Eastern Europe because it is much easier and cheaper to film there. And let's just say that Seagal doesn't exactly put that much effort into these films either. He is out of reach. Oh Christ, it's Franchise Pictures, the production company behind Battlefield Earth. Yep, seconds into Seagal month, and I feel like I'm still doing Stallone month. Oh, how little has changed. So we start with Steven Seagal's body double walking through a forest. Yeah, Seagal's involvement in these films appears to be limited to close-ups. They don't want to strain his busy schedule of sitting on his ass, so you often see body doubles. In fact, it happens so often in Seagal's films that each of the Seagal films I'll review will have a counter at the bottom. Like so. This merges seamlessly with a shot of the actual Seagal, and good God man, talk about split ends! Go buy yourself some Head and Shoulders, dude, that just looks nasty! He finds a bird with its leg caught in a trap. Yep, Seagal's back in nature mode again, as he wraps the bird in a blanket and takes it back with him. I'm not used to Seagal being so kind, so I kept expecting him to break its neck.
Thank you so much for the birthday present. I'm so happy you remembered, as few here at the orphanage did. Years ago, when you first joined my orphanage's outreach program, I never imagined we would become such good friends.
If you're finding this exceptionally creepy, you're not the only one.
Dear Arena, I'm glad you like the American Indian bracelet, a true symbol of our friendship.
Ah! That's not Steven Seagal! In fact, that's probably the worst voice they could have found, because he sounds like a paedophile! You're not helping matters, movie!
You're an intelligent, special girl, so trust me when I tell you this. Pave your own path. And do not wait for others to lead you.
Yeah, sending her gifts and making statements like that, that's called grooming.
By the way, you've done well with the tracker puzzles I've sent you. This one's called a cipher. Like I said, it's a bit more advanced, but I'm sure you'll catch on quick.
So he's been sending encrypted messages with codes used by secret agencies? That's bad, Stephen! That's how Mercury Rising started! And maybe grown men shouldn't send little girls encrypted messages saying friends forever. This whole setup for the movie just feels wrong. It's downright sinister! He's probably keeping track of the birthdays until she's 18. And by the way, the fact that Steven's being dubbed by another actor is actually very common as well. Apparently it's impossible to force Steven's lazy ass into an audio booth, which is a bit of a problem when your movie opens with voiceover narration. Counter, please.
Anything else?
Thank you, Rosa. Do you know any good jokes? Guess that means no.
That's when an old friend of Steven's, back when he was a covert agent named Lewis, walks in to ask for Steven's help, but he turns it down. Yes, once again Steven is playing a guy with a covert past. What a shock.
Dear Irina, I may have to go away for a while, but don't worry. You can contact me in Montreal at the address below.
Before Steven has a chance to leave, however, Lewis and his buddies break into Steven's home and start roughing up the place. Suddenly I'm getting flashbacks of Dr. Cox and his team leadership speech in On Deadly Ground. Steven shows up and... Why do they want Seagal?
It's nothing personal, it's just too many loose ends. Loose ends
to what? Did I miss a more interesting movie? And of course, Steven isn't going to be taken along quietly. That shot of him slamming the guy into the wall was so badass it deserved a slow-mo shot. All the bad guys take their turn, allowing Seagal to subdue them with ease. He then gets them to turn around while he goes back to his trailer.
It doesn't matter how far a man runs, he can't run away from himself.
I think the empty trees heard that, thank you. They're very threatened. Meanwhile, at Irina's orphanage, Faisal, played by Matt Schulze, arrives, and we can tell that he's evil because he's got a Turkish lighter, and also because he hands out red roses to little girls. This makes him much more evil than Seagal because his interest is clearly sexual, as opposed to Seagal's, which is merely sinister. So Faisal takes the girls away. Symbolism! Despite being hunted by covert agents, Seagal still has time to go to the post office to get Irina's latest letter, only to find that it's been replaced with a letter saying that she can no longer correspond with him. Seagal actually broods about this in a bathroom. Damn it, I can't write letters to little girls. What will I do with my life? So Irina has ended up with a group of evil sex traffickers. So yeah, Seagal month got very awkward very quick it seems. Luckily, using those handy Seagal sense powers, Seagal knows that Irina is in danger and makes his way to Poland. He got one letter and knew she was in danger, as opposed to being, adopted.
You're fast. Hey.
Yet, they got in a different actor to dub in one word which Seagal clearly said on set. Look, if you're gonna do this, have the whole thing dubbed, it's already a bloody farce. Seagal visits the orphanage, including Irina's bed, which has a coded message on the headboard. So when they were organising this cover-up, apparently no one noticed the giant symbols that were obviously left as a message for someone.
I have no pen to write with, no paper, and something is very wrong with the men who have taken me. I'll try to leave you a message.
If she has no pen and paper, then how can Seagal be getting this message, since clearly there isn't a letter? Blimey, Seagal actually does have psychic powers! He makes his way to his hotel room, but his Seagal sense powers allow him to discover some goons have followed him. Apparently these goons are too stupid to look right, allowing Seagal to not that sneakily creep up on them and attack them.
Who sent you?
You don't need Seagal sense powers to work out where this is heading.
Wrong answer.
Yeah, that went about as well as can be expected. And what's with the editing flourishes? We don't need an instant replay of a guy falling. That same night, Faisal kills the head of the orphanage. Seagal goes back to the orphanage to investigate the scene. Why is he allowed at a crime scene? Shouldn't the police be arresting him? A crowd of people saw him drop a guy in a car! Seagal finds the traumatized pickpocket who is apparently the only child left in this orphanage. Seagal clearly takes his parenting skills from the movie Big Daddy. At the crime scene, Seagal meets Detective Lato.
Who are you?
I'm Bill Hale, I'm with the Global Relief Fund.
And I have the ability to change my voice on a whim. Elsewhere, Faisal talks to his boss.
An empire, now more profitable than narcotics trafficking. Human trafficking always seemed like such an uninspired phrase. But still, it's extraordinary what you hear on the BBC World Service these days.
Oh, I'm ever so posh and evil. Ha 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 ha. Seagal is taken to the police station because he's suspicious. What? Really? Before being left completely unattended so he can start using the police computer.
Rena Moravska.
The brilliant thing about that was that it was a completely pointless line because he still had to type it into the computer. Yeah, I'm glad you dubbed in that line. Seagal finds out that several of the girls have exit visas. Afterwards, we have a scene where Faisal practices his fencing. This is, of course, to establish that this movie ends in a sword fight because it's a Steven Seagal movie. Duh! Irina leaves Seagal another message on a two-way mirror in lipstick, unaware she is being watched by Faisal.
You're a very clever girl. I can see why William is so fond of you, and even more why I can't let you go.
Why can we suddenly hear it in a morgue? Oh right, because they assumed that just because we're watching a Steven Seagal movie, we'd be too dumb to work out that it's a trap ourselves. The police raid the warehouse where the girls were being kept earlier. Faisal is planting one of Seagal's letters on the body of a girl who he burned to death earlier on, making Seagal think that Irina is dead. Ah yes, sitting in a chair with your fingers pressed to your forehead. Now that's real acting, Seagal. Of course, this is made completely pointless when they discover the message, including the hotel they're staying at, clearly indicating she's still alive. What exactly was their plan? Make Seagal think that she's dead, frame him for murder? Because neither of those makes much sense.
You knew how to pass as a volunteer for the Global Relief Fund. You knew what the message on the mirror was.
I'm an amateur. It's a little bit of guesswork.
I don't believe you came all this way on guesswork. You obviously have a past. With the evidence I have, I could hold you on suspicion of murder.
And you aren't arresting him because...
United Alliance of Nations.
Sunglasses Kid shows up at Seagal's hotel room to tell him about the men who took Irina using charades. So after some more rather pointless scenes and voice dubbing, Seagal visits the United Alliance of Nations and finds a car for the Itara Corporation, which he investigates, only to find a completely empty building.
This looks promising.
It turns out that this is a place where callers place answering machine messages bidding on the girls. Seagal also finds an envelope for Maxcom Internet. With Lato, he goes to a UAN employee's house, where he finds that he has been assassinated by Faisal's right-hand man. Lato is shot in the shoulder, and a badly edited fight scene ensues. Aren't you going to chase after him? Oh right, running costs extra. My mistake. Instead, Seagal starts doing impromptu surgery on Lato to remove the bullet. Maybe they should leave the house before the assassin comes back. He then takes Lato to his hotel room to heal.
I made a mistake once. I'm not going to make the same mistake again.
Meanwhile, the covert agents from earlier make a deal with Faisal to help him track down Seagal. Well, they had to bring those guys back, otherwise the movie won't make sense. Figuratively speaking. Apparently the movie has stopped caring about the other kids as Faisal spends more time with Irina.
Would you like to go to a party? An embassy ball?
Well, what you been doing on an embassy ball?
Oh, business, pleasure.
Don't take a drink from him, you fool! Does he look trustworthy?
Check. Mate.
Symbolism! Back with Seagal, outside the Turkish embassy, the kid recognises Faisal.
What I need to do is get an invitation to this embassy ball.
Looks like I need a tux.
I'm hungry. The caviar looks nice.
I'll bring you food after I put you downstairs. Keep walking.
I think you're gonna drag my food and I won't eat it. If you don't let me eat some of that caviar, I'll scream.
No, you won't.
This is how drug people act, Mr. Director, isn't it?
Let her eat.
This is a trap.
Even Admiral Akbar thought that voiceover was pointless and unnecessary. She left a message in the caviar. Maybe I should get rid of it.
Make sure no one touches this.
Yes, it's all part of my cunning scheme of killing Seagal. Somehow.
Why didn't they invite you to the party upstairs?
Stop trying to get inside my head.
Your ability to ask questions will not get the better of me. You're not getting in this head. So Seagal makes his way to the embassy ball where Lewis spots him. It's also where the hero and our villain meet face to face for the first time.
Who's this?
I'm Nikolai Rachenko. It's nice to meet you.
It's a firm grip there, Nikolai, and your name is indeed familiar.
Good to know his name is familiar because his voice isn't. Faisal orders Seagal be given the caviar platter for some reason.
Compliments of Mr. Faisal.
Ah, an elegant arrangement.
This is a trap.
Yes, thank you, we know that because the girl said it already. Downstairs, Irina pretends she was annoyed by the henchman smoking, which allows her to make a run for it. Yes, it's very rare to find a guard that's so considerate about his smoking they forget to keep watch. Idiot. Irina is captured once again when she comes up against a locked door that Seagal just happens to be on the other side of by massive coincidence. So he leaves the embassy?
Don't worry. Hang in there, kid.
Stephen, where the hell are you going? Instead, Seagal follows one of Faisal's henchmen via clunky editing to a brothel. Damn it, Seagal, no more sex scandals. We don't want any more lawsuits. He sneaks into the henchman's room using the brothel's secret passageways, just go with it, and pays the henchman for information and to tell his boss to send his men, including Lewis, to the brothel. Seagal and Lasso return to the brothel, getting ready for a fight.
You still haven't told me why. Why all of this for a girl you've never even met?
You know, some of us have done bad things in the past. And once in a while we find something that makes us feel better about ourselves.
That's not an answer! You've travelled halfway across the world to rescue your pen pal who you never even met! This is like a parody already of a Seagal movie premise. So Lewis and Faisal's men arrive at the brothel and a gunfight ensues between them and Seagal and Lato. Oh huzzah, some action in this supposed action movie. It's only 15 minutes from the end. It's another wonderfully edited sequence, including this goon with the machine gun who just fires at the scenery even when he doesn't see Seagal. Yeah, I think the wall's dead, sir. Of course, Steven's been using those secret passageways to sneak around them. If your action star is too fat to do a forward roll, don't slow-mo the shot so we can see his stunt double! And so, Seagal and Lato take out the bad guys, leaving Lewis remaining.
Lewis, you're playing a whore's game. You ain't nothing but a whore.
Used to be a good man, Forrest. Now you're nothing but a whore.
Now you know what happens to whores, don't you now?
What?
Whores always get fucked, don't they?
You gonna fuck me, huh?
Sparkling repartee there. No wonder Seagal had to be dubbed in. I'd be ashamed if I had to deliver those lines. So Lewis and Seagal pretend that both their guns are out when they really aren't, but Seagal is quicker on the draw and kills Lewis. An injured Lato tells Seagal to go after Faisal alone, which he does.
It's my favorite moment in life.
What's that?
Well, it's when the predator becomes the prey.
Also my favorite moment, but it remains to be seen. Who's the predator and who's the prey?
Tonight, in To Catch a Predator.
It's okay. Don't be afraid.
Who are you?
Yes, after all that, the first thing that she says to her rescuer is, "Who are you?" You know, because she only knows you as a pen pal! Actually, that line doesn't even make any sense. She may not know what he looks like, but who the hell did she think she was leaving those messages to? It doesn't exactly take a genius to work out who this guy is, Irina. In an absolutely preposterous moment, both hero and villain decide to place their guns down on the table and go outside to settle this like men. It's like they both realised they were in a Seagal movie, and that Seagal movies don't usually end in gunfights. So the fight continues outside, and amazingly, Faisal actually manages to score a few hits on Seagal. I love how Seagal sends his double to take his hits for him. That was a good 15 seconds of Seagal being doubled. You could clearly see his face. Fuck this acting in pain shit, I'm going for the sword. So yes, cue the obligatory Seagal film sword battle, and of course, Seagal's double gets in on the action too. Eventually, Faisal literally runs into Seagal's blade and he dies. Why is Seagal squatting? Anyway, he rescues the girl and takes her to safety. What about those other girls? Faisal is clearly an underling. Ah, screw that. Seagal taking down the entire human trafficking industry by himself? That's just ridiculous. Lato gets a postcard from Irina, who Seagal is taking care of along with Sunglasses Kid.
William sends his regards and thanks. William doesn't say very much. As you know, he's not one for words. He spends most of his time by himself, wandering the forest looking for injured animals.
That definitely sounds like our Steve and Irina. And so our film ends on ah! Oh my god, smiling is not a natural emotion on Steven's face, that's just horrifying! Final thoughts on Out of Reach? Boring. I've probably made it seem far more interesting and funnier than it really is. Not much really happens during the movie, and the only thing that's really hilarious is the constant voice doubling for Seagal throughout. I also think that some of Matt Schulze's lines are dubbed, and likely from the same actor that did Seagal. The movie is very poorly paced and has very little action in it, and what little action there is very badly executed. The premise is absolutely ludicrous, and the movie is constantly fighting the creepy vibes about the pen-pal relationship.
I'm Untitled Ted, reminding you that whores get fucked.